Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful, empowered harmonizers. You got it. That is right. You are beautiful, you are empowered, and you are a harmonizer. If you're checking this out, we've got a great viewer question that has come in, and it is asking Peace and Harmony, why would my ex, who's a sociopath, psychopath, who they've broken up with, and this individual has now found another target, another girlfriend, and she has a website, and based on her analytics, which she can see, why would he then continue to visit her site like every day, like up to 6 times a day? If they're so longer separate, the clean separation, that the psychopath makes, they can part ways like chip and ice. They can just make a clean break ice cube and send you off, and it's just like nice to know you have a good time, and they're as if they have no recollection or sentience about what they've done, the pathological lying, the deception, the betrayal, all sorts of other things included in that enigma. And why would they continue if they've expressed so much debonair that they don't need you and they're moving on? Well, you have to recognize, why would they do this? The psychopath, they do like to terrorize. Okay, they're basically, this is a behavior for them to sort of scope out and sometimes stalk, keep tabs on, keep numbers on, and size up with continuation just where their previous targets are. In other words, what are their weaknesses? Are they showing signs of moving on? Are they showing signs of being stuck? Are they seeing if you're mentioning them or thinking about them? And of course, the psychopath, one of their underhanded ways is to manipulate, is so that you're constantly thinking about them. Meaning that if they're probably wise enough to know, maybe with your website, if they have probably searched you out as they do time to time, depending on how long, they might even know about this website and try to put some numbers in to kind of terrorize you, keep you feeling snagged, they basically want to remove that feeling of safety or conviction that you might have felt in your heart. But why would they continue to do that? It's like an automatic behavior for them. It's just like a release of tension. Really just a stress relief. Almost to the point where you can't take it personal, because they don't really personalize others, even though they seem so personable or, it's been so personal. They are really to the opposite, and what you had is a testimony sometimes of a psychopath ability to act. So they might continue to do this and try to learn or garner something and pick something up from this website that they could then incorporate in their life, just so that to see if, maybe to either deliberately cross paths or maybe not, or avoid crossing paths. And just really to sort of test out your water, see if you can be broken down, seeing what you're up to. It can be a fascination to them, but a stalker is no laughing matter. If there is someone who's stalking behavior, which can be following people online, leaving comments, all these sort of different activities, and you don't want to have someone sort of following you or feeling that they're following you in a negative. Remember that a psychopath enjoys high-risk behaviors. So what does this maybe mean? It means they might just find a way to take down the website. Why? You'd ask them, and they just say, because I can, because I want to. They might not even have any ability, but it's just little strange but severely destructive things that they can do just to sort of leave what I would call like their calling card. So looking at their behavior in the past, their little quirks, their enigmas, their puzzles that never got unpuzzled, these sort of, tripping up your vision, into that elated sort of psychopathic thinking and feeling like you're you're just made of stardust and you're just floating through the sky. I mean, there's nothing better on Earth. I mean, basically, and you're basically looking on down on other Earthlings as if, and then you're like, wait a second, reality is so much better. Well, there, you know, you don't want to enter into that poison galaxy. It's really something to, you know, that you're obviously now, I'm not sure how long it's been, but something you do, I think it's a healthy behavior to sort of keep tabs on certain things just so you don't, quote unquote, forget. It's just like, because sometimes when people get too comfortable humming, you know, oh, I forgot about this. You know, that's right. This is how people will trip me up. Positive self-reference. Because a psychopath, they will create a very, very lethal, negative self-reference. I mean, beyond, you know, just words can't even form the terror. And when, I mean, the word terror doesn't even grasp the word, the feeling, the sort of terror, but it's beyond a terror. It's, you know, and it's something that you can emerge from, almost like an oil slick. Like you just so drowned out, but like you just keep looking towards what is your light, and don't make it too far away so that you miss two things close up, because what is my light right now? You know, what can I call in to my environment, into my life, especially into my body, which will affect your thoughts, your design, things of this nature. And, you know, realize, you know, that whatever that other psychopath have, it's a decoy. They don't have it better. They may have it worse. You don't have to rescue, but you do want to self-protect. And you do want to have that in your etheric layers. You want to have that in your physical body. You want to understand, once you've emerged through sort of that decrepit way that they look through the world, that's not to be entered into. And once you commit to that in fullness of being, you can then just sort of observe and, you know, and sort of understand where things are, but realize what could that also be keeping you detracted from. Their high risk behaviors could be indicative of something else. And, you know, they can stay very calm. But I think maybe that's a good indicator of where their energy threshold is, for whatever reason. And it's basically back on that, you know, can they still affect you? And you want to be sure that you're not giving them any sort of negative or positive. It's a complete. Once you've recognized or exposed a psychopath, it has to be on the level of complete indifference. Just a complete, and not a hatred, not anything with an emotional tinge. It's like the perfect blending, the perfect harmony of intellectual and emotional and physical, just coming together, and just without a doubt. It's just like, you know, there comes this real core from the body that is speaking forth and uttering of something. Oftentimes it's stronger than words. And that's better to tap into. And to knowing that you're constantly then continuing to tap into that, and not tapping into other behaviors that they might be into, avoiding crossing paths online. Are they in a similar group? You know, do you find yourselves in the same expo, or, you know, what other issues? And if so, is that a big deal? Is it a big deal if he's watching this? And do we need to ask why? And that's a good question. But, you know, make sure you're looking at that why with a nice level of indifference, meaning either way, I have a level of conviction and this strength that is beyond words. Because that ultimately is the space you really want to live in and breathe and act from, including your professional life. And and be just in realizing that they're not afraid to exploit. So I think just as long as you don't see any other crazy making behavior, you know, is it also like keeping you on, you know, sometimes there's that still kind of a competition trying to still play off you, you know, are you, you know, then he's trying to see, do you have any indicators of this, that, and so just let that be with indifference. Don't put any emotional value on it. Just becoming aware that it's happening, and plan, you know, to know that you've moved your buttons. I've moved my buttons. My buttons aren't there. You know, I don't just, there's no buttons in this area. This is a totally button-free zone. Like, so it's the positive, excuse me, the positive declaration that you want to be able to come from, and then maybe if they're looking, have they adapted this awareness? Because I think psychopaths, once they have affected or you've exposed them, meaning you've exposed them, meaning they've shown that they've dropped their mask. You know that they're not at all who they are, and that they're living a fallacy, a double life, and in terms of it being control or ownership, what I really want to say is that they're looking for levels of ownership. In other words, what indicators, like, because the sociopath, Autumn, they know kind of like that they're different. Okay, a psychopath, if you know, this age, I knew I was different. You know, I could just do anything and not feel guilty. I never felt fear. Animals, I could dissect them and do heart transplants with birds in the front neighborhood, or locusts or whatever, and that people would, you know, just, you know, strange things. Or, I mean, you don't have to go very far to hear about this right now in the news, because it's like always put out there. And don't digest that, don't ingest that type of stuff. But I think a psychopath, to track, you know, is to say to what, you know, knowing that they kind of know that they're different. And I think that they also know that they have said impact on those individuals. Like, they know, because it's predetermined, premeditated. They've seen through it the entire time, where you were, oh yeah, this and this is our reality, and whatever you had there. To what degree, because of my wound, is she showing this and this growth or activity? If you have like writing ability or something that, you know, to what degree? And then, so the ownership, meaning, did she get there because of me? Or like allowing that to still be a fueled relevancy in the universe, should not be impacted. Complete indifference, owning whatever you have, and whatever, you know, and allowing that to be I don't want to say even unpenetrable, because that by very virtue of it says that could be penetrated. Okay, realize that you inhabit a space that is beyond words strength, and beyond words belief in self, and beyond words creative, where you can move beyond, you know, and owning this ability more and more. You know, you must self-possess, and because there's little tinges where, now I wouldn't say really of jealousy or envy, but you're right. I think that they want to say like ownership, like, because I got her into, I'm sorry, you were into your life for many, many years, if not probably very many decades before you met this person. You were into and doing life here, okay? Contrary to that, you know, them wanting to swoon you, seduce you into some other ultra reality that is not only pixie dust, but it's like poison. I don't want to, poison arrow. I mean, there's a song. I mean, poison is, what is the next step beyond poison? You just have to realize, and I just got electric shock there. I just got an electric shock. Okay? What they're trying to say, there's something that is inhabitant within you that is beyond their movement. I want to say shock-proof, but that's, and I don't want to say bulletproof. I just want to, there's a certain, let me just breathe into it, because ultimately, you know, you really breathe into that strength, meaning it all inhabits that, in other words, there's a sort of a clearing that you partake, that there is no other way of, there is just no other way. There just is a very sort of permanency of a strength that you always will have, and account it to yourself. So and it's very interesting, because of course we need to rekindle these strengths, but he could also be following you, you know, in other ways, and not that you want to acknowledge or validate that, but be impenetrable to any concern of that, because that's how they will. It's a subtle way for them to constantly keep you hooked, stuck, broken down, even if it's a little sliver. To them, that's their needle in the haystack. I just wanted to parlay this off a great comment from an awesome viewer who's been with the channel for maybe since its existence, or probably has gone back there or such. But I want you to remember that you have gone back in existence. Okay, you're a being. Okay, there's something I want you to say, like, I don't want to say eternal, but getting there. And narcissists want you to lose hope in God. That's a big statement, and accurate. I would agree. Narcissists want you to lose your hope in God. I mean, that eternal, there's something eternal, whatever you call it, so however it feels within you and portrays as the good and the, you know, attraction to, okay, got this, you know, good, and hope in them instead, and look upon them as your Lord and Master. Oh boy, right? When the whole world comes crashing down to them, I mean, rock stars, you see it happening all the time. Companies will do it, families will do it, have everybody, you know, broken, and call upon, you know, they make your life smaller, contrary to what they're trying to project, because oftentimes, you know, they'll try to project and take ownership, like you said, or like take credit, but even more than, you know, is taking ownership, like, I'm responsible for you, like, you know, as if they're your, and that's not true. You know, they'll try, and then they try to might get that little sliver that could say, but part of this is because, no, there is, you know, that sliver is you. You're putting one more paintbrush on your masterpiece. You're not, you know, this is yours. And so they don't like to be questioned, which is why, of course, there's no way two-way street, because they will just back it down in any of their manipulative ways that they know how to do, including pathological lying. So, in other words, he might just be doing this out of his own calling card. You know, a psychopath, they leave a weird calling card. A scratch on a window, a mark on a book, calls on your phone, things tampered with, just calling cards, things missing from your house, clothing that they, or whatever it is that they want to possess or take for some reason. Part of your house, they take out your door handle, or any sort of like small, where's my hinging, or something just goes missing that they just sort of help themselves to, and they have no conscience, they have no feeling of any consequences. They don't resonate it, they don't live that, they don't fear that, and exist to sort of torturing others or trying to devastate others with this type of relating. And so the people who try to, you know, always keep on you, trying to, so I would say that's the social engineering that they do. And you must realize then that could just be nothing more, than to get you intrigued. Meaning that, so knowing that they still have this interplay with you still keeps you at their arm's reach. So until you can say, I am not worried looking back, if you say you've gone no contact, but to what degree can you look at your, and if you say he's checking in on a daily basis, that means you're still interrelating to him on a daily basis at a certain level. So you have to realize to what degree can you say, is this cut clean? Is this jagged? To what degree is this building and strengthening me up and making me feel good? Or to what degree is this still holding me back in another corner of my life I haven't given light to or awareness, and keeping sort of your life in the default mechanism, which is sort of the after effect or effect of this type of relationship. So I think that's definitely a calling card type, when they sort of take over. This is mine. I'm checking my, quote unquote, my website. They, in this subtle way, if they're sort of taking ownership from you in their way. And you know what I'm saying, because maybe you've seen behavior like this in them before. But I would say that, like, sort of disregard of conscious, like, why would he be doing this? Why would somebody be doing other things in their life? Or maybe he is a fan of your website. I don't know. But obviously, if you go no contact, you've exposed them, that there's nothing you're toiling or playing with. I mean, there's beyond even any 20 million light year miles of a doubt. Like, you're so far beyond doubt. Like, if you can imagine you're 20 million light years ahead of doubt, that's putting yourself pretty far ahead. And that would be pretty phenomenal. So to what degree is your jet belief, like your jet belief in self? Like, always keep that, like, checked in first. But they leave kind of like their scratch. They leave their feeling. They leave that sort of cutting, straight, like and I'm not trying to make any assumptions, but there was recently someone in the news who is, up. I'm not even going to go there, but yeah, I'm going to go there for a second. So yeah, he was in his second hearing, and I guess in the orange jumpsuit that they give you if you're arrested and incarcerated for some sort of murders, quadruple, and they give you the very cheapest of the razors, prison issued razor, and the guy, I mean, kind of a baby face, has, 2 deep scratches, this, there's a calling card there. That's what it appears to me like, and trying to cause a perception or derail the perception, sort of getting it to have other meanings, other than, they're reading you, and then so, or other different things. So you have to recognize that and sort of exude out back again. Okay, and then it's that comparison factor. I think it's like a before and after that a psychopath might like to monitor the after, especially if you're trying to avoid, they're trying to kind of still show and just leave another something emblazoned, in the mind, which is not, I mean, your mind is of your own, and that ownership question that you said, I think that's very akin to sort of like a psychopath who sort of takes possession of others in a weird way, in a way that keeps them from their good or in fear, in a very ultra trance, seductive fear, like just a real high-powered, overly overly stimulated, overly aroused, sort of hyper vigilant, and can be paranoid state. That's like, you know, just like always having to check what was that, instead of it being meditative and just, I will check, to what degree can you resonate a completely different voltage kinesthetically, where it resonates at truth. Dr. David Hopkins, he talks in his book about power versus force, and how truth resonates stronger than evil. Meaning, even if you were not knowing what book it was, if you were to put the hand, and do muscle testing on the Bible, which your hand is resonating strong here, and then if you were to put like a book of Hitler, where it would go down, it would collapse. Collapsing is the sign of it's not resonating with the higher force, which is like your higher nature. And so they want to really siphon off, not only derail, but they try to siphon off in a very sadistic way. And it gets them to feel something aroused. Since I don't think they don't really feel like sexual arousal. They more feel aroused for maybe trying to have victory or ownership. And so if he's still getting this, like a little charm bracelet on you, that's just like, he's still got you dangling as a charm from his rear view mirror or something, like you're his little forget-me-not. I mean, do you want to leave that on your rap sheet? No. Do you want that focus to be removed from you? The change of identity. The psychopath will try to change the identity of people into that sort of corrupted, which they stream to be as the fantasy is more high-powered, exciting. No. Try debilitating, decrepit, oftentimes riddled with lies. I mean, look at the recent Madonna thing. I mean, these people, I don't even know what's going on, but weird, glorifying certain immoral behaviors that you just have to compare it to sort of like, where do you want to have your statue in the world? Do you want to be, because if you're always on the down stoop, your body is going to grow, and it's going to grow more and more into that grow, so you need to resonate with truth, where the strength actually fills your body and allowing it to get there. And the terrors that the truth will never return, or never be good or exciting or welcoming or stable. So that's a very interesting thing, and removing sort of that ownership, because even that depth, that was just the depth to which that had traveled, and like leaving that in some sort of other zone, which isn't part of your reality or life, or don't need to make it so. And then that comparing where you realize lessons learned, and also, but I would say be careful of what the psychopath could be procrastinating, or that you're procrastinating, because what appears to them as showing interest could be nothing. It's nothing more than clicking, and you can't take things personally, and just like that is the one thing, because basically, they'll try to measure to certain degrees, and it's just like and so like that, but there's not even an and that comes from that. So if I say, if you can understand that feeling state, which I'm not going to go into much more, because it's certainly something we've discussed here on the channel, and it's so important to realize that pathological, that period of time where perhaps you had to swallow lies as reality, or that pathology as vitality. You can say, God, no, thank you, and then embrace yourself with gratitude, like just having gratitude for certain things, and not being allowed to be carried away in ways that you need to like come back from, and sometimes tightening up your world and getting the reins in is really the best place that you can inhabit. Whether there is stalking or checking in, just making sure that you don't feel reduced or made small in any way. In fact, that with each day you're felt larger, more in control, and more empowered in doing what you're doing. And to what degree can you own? Is his like a thread of steel that's like still causing a scar, or and how far is it? Can you understand how far it is, and how far ideally and really it is and needs to be? Because then it shows, well then, and I want to challenge in healing and say then, what does intrigue and what does expand you in ways that doesn't incorporate this in the mix? To what other way do you have a flow? In the flow, do you really find intrigue and something that you are fully engrossed in, which is nothing of that nature, that you can make sure you contribute to follow that sort of antithesis, if that makes any sense? So you are the intrigue. And it's important for you, but to further and enhance that is to further pursue. If I wasn't worried about their intrigue, what am I truly intrigued by? They're intrigued over there. Well, where are you intrigued? You have to make sure, where does this flow? Where does it flow? And it's not something that you should like put up with and cope and consider. It's something that the degree to which you can get out of that in that environment, which becomes, completely elating, as something uplifting, and sort of, you thought that you were closer to heaven, and you realize that was not such the case. And even bursting a balloon doesn't quite come close to what happens internally, because really it's quite an alarm. And they know that they have this recursiveness, I would say. They know that they have this percussive or repercussive effect on others. And they'll almost like, because they know to what degree they're trying to cut someone off or deaden someone or ruin, the true words of those words, ruin, take down, leave in the wake, leave a mass of fallen soldiers. Check out that whole archaeological dig that they found in China. There was they unearthed 4,000 sculptures of soldiers in China, and there's 300 of them. It's just check it out in the news. There's so many amazing great feats of greatness that will astound you, and it's a true astounding, a true intrigue, or something that truly astounds you. Is there something fascinating, to open yourself up into? Because at a certain degree, there's a certain distance that has to come from that sort of electric or that sort of energetic lifestyle, rather than it bleaching or leaching, and sort of you're paying out emotionally. There should be a little bit of a solidifying or a feeling good within. And looking at that, then that conditioned ego, or that conditioned part of you, where they try to condition you in fear, and then put you into that so that they could try to feel something which is not love, but just so they can feel some sort of energy, their high risk behavior, so they can get that dopamine hit that they're super sensitive to, so they can, their testosterone is jetting. I mean, they're just, you know, balls to the, you know where, and they're just on. They're not in the situation. They're not the CEO. They're not the lawyer. They're not the priest. They are not the marriage partner. They are not the manager. I mean, they have, that's just something that they literally put on and take off. Like, it's not internally part of them. It's something that they produce, meaning it's not who they are. It's very strange. And the dissociation and disconnection from that they have to others is really, it's, you know, sub-zero, cold, cruel, and these are other sorts of situations which, until you've seen the depths, you know, you'll say, okay, this is not anything I want to be toying or playing with. And how you deal with it can be, and how, and it just sort of brings to mind then, how do you incorporate then like healing into your everyday reality in like a more advanced level, like we're doing right now. So you're able to incorporate it with someone who understands the depth and degree of psychopathic wounding. Okay, it's like a battery acid. I mean, it'll try to corrupt and corrode from the insides to where you can't feel restored internally. That is their corruptive, erosive, you know, erosion. They're trying to melt, you know, corrode down, break down. Any sort of rising up, you know, it's the down. It really is their weapon, but it goes unseen. It comes masked as a reward. So we're self-rewarding, and then it becomes this self-referencing, really annihilation. Annihilation, I think, is the end result, and it's not pleasant or pretty, or something that you want to say, oh, look how tough I can challenge you. Okay, so annihilate, to destroy, utterly obliterate. Okay, to wipe out. Convert, in physics, a subatomic particle into radiant energy. So they're trying to literally, and this is the reality, I mean, if the subatomic level, that's what I'm talking about, the quantum field of healing here on the Peace and Harmony channel. The quantum field of healing. This is an energy that you must call forth, and the more you can acknowledge, validate, and, you know, and be with, the better you're going to feel. You know, you're going to say, oh, I can take a nap. Oh, I can eat healthy. Oh, I can manage this. Oh, I don't need to spend that. Oh, I don't need to fake this. Oh, I can take a breath there. Oh, I can be quiet for a moment. Oh, I can self-calm. Oh, you know, you have all these oh moments. O'Hara. O'Hare. Hey. But so to destroy utterly. So this is not, it's of ill intention. Okay, this is illness that can be like off the scale. So this is not, you know, and to convert a subatomic particle into a radiant energy, so meaning your inner cells, meaning that which actually makes up and inhabits your physical body, sent into haywire, hectic, fear, trauma, re-traumatization, re-traumatizing. In every attempt at love, there's a traumatization thread that's just like woven in, like stitched in, like itchy iron or itchy, scratchy stuff that is like always, you know, irritating somebody and they can't get it out of them, and it comes from the late Latin ad, which means to, and nihil, which means nothing. Oh boy. Okay. To nothing. Oh ho ho. They try to relegate you to nothing. Sounds like something the late Italian inhilare, inhiletus, to reduce to nothing. To today's annihilate, destroyed, annulled. That's from the late Middle English. Okay, so to annul, to make, to like annul a wedding, to make it void, to make it non-existent, to make it, I mean, this is what they call, it's like a, and they try to replace it with another radiant energy, or that which they are trying to bounce off and constantly sort of cause your body to excrete a certain stress chemical and arousal and attraction and, you know, whatever, all these different bundled up, which is really too many, or not of the type that is life sustaining and supporting. Okay, not, you know, so they will, you know, that they will try to leave that as their so into their state. Why? Because to them it gives them some sort of spiritual heat, you know, some sort of feeding. I guess that's all we can say. So just extinguish, yeah, just to sort of negate. These are the kind of words. To annul, to expunge, make as if it didn't happen. But wait, I thought you were the doctor in this practice, and we were going to do this. Oh, I thought you were, we were going to get married with these kids. Oh, I thought, you know, what do you mean? As if your whole, that previous existence of time, as if it didn't, you weren't even walking there. They just make it non-existent, as if it didn't have. So there's a very strange situation going on. Extirpate. I mean, just to sort of just exercising out it's a way for them to create a feedback loop when they're trying to sort of get other people sort of sewn in through that piercing of those different layers that were leading to that breakdown. So in other words, they're trying to get in all these different situations that will take you off, you know, to lead to that nothingness. And ambiguous means ambiguous. You can't even put words to it. That's really scary when you can't put words to, and feeling like no one else understands, like, for this moment. And yet you are sane, you are okay, you know, but they're trying to leave you in that quell, which is really, it's not a positive thing. And it's something you really want to go away from. You know, yeah, just sort of trying to, you know, emanate, you know, eminent destruction. So, but they don't have that, okay? There is something else that at the quantum level, the subatomic level, where you do get restored, and it is unbroken, and you get lessons learned, but then recovering, sort of that period of, they put you into a temporary feeling of extinction. That's when I say, you know, it's serious, I'm talking about something serious. I mean, I'm trying to use it with some smiles and some laughter or whatever, but it is serious stuff, yo, for you to bounce back, live out, you know, live clear from all the time, and not being seduced back. Like, you know, that's like with the pandemic, it's like it was such a great opportunity to stop that whole routine and put it to a halt. I mean, that's ultimately what you want to do, you know, and so you can really get your footing. And if you're only out a year and a half from the relationship, that's still baby healing, okay? That's still really, really close. And how long, I'm not sure how long you've been with, but depending on how long you've been with a person, and the degree of the sort of impairment that they caused, they do cause an impairment, okay, like an intoxication, but they will impair you. Gosh, that's, and it's been glorified, okay? I mean, again, I'm just thinking Madonna. Just the cone things, like she can just impair people, and I'm not giving her any diagnosis, or justification. I mean, I adore Madonna. She's really super talented, but there's parts you have to say it's kind of extreme. And if we were all to do you see that adoration and that sort of reverence that people can give to something that's so far blown or so far out, yet it seems like and then they're down to nothing. Like, so there's a problem with that collapse motion that they try to put others in. And depending on how long you've been out of that, which is only 1.5 years, and depending on how long you've been in, it might be really, I don't want to say like, don't entertain. Be careful of what any sort of thoughts you entertain towards said situation. Because that will continue to marinate and sort of saturate your inner being as you if you continue to call in that it's still going to be sort of there lurking. And to what degree do you want to sort of exfoliate that from the inside and really comb through like your inner musculature and that quantum field, those subatomic particles which were sort of destroyed, like a relationship, what do you call those, sun tanning rooms? You see those, people who are like completely, tanned out in the middle of the winter, as if their everyday color is not good enough. And sort of an impaired understanding of, they'll, impair people. They will impair your vision to weaken or damage something, especially a human faculty or function. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Which can be, it can create a lot of work in your life. And so if you kind of understand, look at and take an owning to what degree is this impairing or weakening, kind of keeping on their footsteps, okay? Because in the background, they're smiling or laughing or doing whatever, it doesn't matter. But to what degree are you still egging on, or are you still living in an impaired manner? And to say, to what degree can I can I keep out, or can I keep a very solid and in tune, functional and complete awareness center, that is not impaired, by anything, but that is not impaired by anything that's been said, done, spoken, completely unimpaired, and to what degree can you hold that in and strengthen that, and then allow that to be a center, and then add other healing layers, once you have that true foundation working at that quantum level, okay, emitting that strength, emitting that understanding, which will saturate up from the body and help you to like come from a higher level order of thinking, the metacognition, where you can think about what you're thinking about and you go, not making a fool, or I don't have to do this to grab attention, is usually the switch of energy, the flip of the flow. Instead of getting energy, from other ways that were while you're under impairment, seeing to what degree am I giving attention or in the unimpaired zone, if that makes any sense? Because to what degree you can say, oh, I'm impaired, which is they to weaken or damage. So what degree can you see the extent and reflect on the extent while things are kind of going through a cycle of your looking at things? And when's a good time to reflect on this? Well, you can find it out. Time it by the moon. The moon waning, now's the time to reflect. When it's waxing, it's getting bigger. We want our good things to grow larger, and then we can reflect on it when the moon cycle goes down, and such and forth. I mean, you can tie your reflection to this, and really reduce or diminish that impact once you can kind of see it in motion. It's kind of like you see that sacred space or that distance, and you can keep a certain distance. And to what degree, what inhabits that other layer? Is it health? Do you have already health and vitality already layered in there as well? And then before you get to intrigue, or intrigue on other things, but to the degree to which you want to approach that, I really want you to understand that you want to come from a real fullness of being, and only being out 1.5 years. It's hard to be there, but you sound very much on the path. But I would say for everyone who's viewing this, you must realize that it is okay to let go completely. Of that, and then add in other practices, yoga, learning to do simple stretching, adding self-care to your routine, not as if you're going to work, but as if you're just like walking, breathing, doing these sort of things, getting and investing in a book, simple paths, yoga, create your program to inner peace, and getting like working into some simple stretches. I mean, to what degree can you stretch, and to what degree can you get your own like blood flowing, and doing, there's a lot of, just different, and I studied dance in college. I studied modern dance, and, it's all about, the posture and the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and these sort of things. And, it's very good because it gives you more flexibility, and you can also like help with your blood flow with this. It can help. I mean, what I'm saying? When you got, that's like the age old, yoga is not the guy in diapers outside, with long hair, dirty, and he's like stretching on a tree. That's kind of what they will show, but flexibility is what you will then gain. And how you hold yourself will be in better alignment with being fully functional. When you can bend your hands in the back like this, maybe that's not a goal, but just certain, to what degree can you put your body in other positions that are like studied for a discipline versus like throwing your body and having, throwing your body at things, having your body just, or whatever, that whole jet propulsion, like projectile vomit coming out, just, to what degree can you say, okay, impairment here. This is in that positive self-reference. Hey, and look at this. And you're venturing on this new land in a manner that is conducive to that strengthening. And it comes out to a lot. It comes a lot to this awareness. Can you then globalize this? And then instead of saying he, what about other people? And just saying, okay, and like looking at what are some other huge movements where goodness is really working, and to what degree can I tap into and focus on that? Like, these are all good things. but they are not going to be predictable. And I mean, so that the whole behaving without a consequence, where they just will result in a rage. You know that spectrum. So why, what about them following? Is that something? Is that means, oh, they really, I really did have an impact, or what you're trying to measure yourself from? They were this to me because I was good, or or now they recognize me, and now I don't have to worry about them. I can really heal now that I get a positive validation from them. And to what degree are you going, okay, you just now strengthened the abuse cycle, okay? And you're still in that active, that mode. So to what degree can you reflect and own on that? And it really is something. It is really, it's so something. And giving yourself positive self-reference where, where that you had a hard time, like, how dedicated you are, the drive that you have, after something like this, what, how strong, you will work to experience something that you thought was, so, but realize that there's a sort of addiction, a loss of control that comes with that. And so if you're still checking it daily, if you're going no contact, can you block this user? Or to agree with that, what about blocking someone? Yeah, and not falling for a spoof caller, though. I mean, places you can mask who they're, hey, this is Amazon spoof call. Hey, this is Apple spoof call. This is the IRS spoof call. I mean, they will play with any sort of electrical toys or gadgets that they can get a hold of. And it's just, instead of feeling that you're looking at this and then putting up with it every day, to what degree can you shelve it, or put it and don't look back, or put it to the side, or put it in some other zone where you're not going to really feed off of, or you don't constantly want to be reminded of, because the degree, you'll move from when you're healing, right when you're sort of hurt, you're like unconsciously incompetent, like you didn't know that you didn't know what was going on, like, and then you become consciously incompetent when you're like aware, oh man, something is not going right in this relationship, or this is going off the rails, and you're becoming aware that you're not handling this. It's not just the two, it's, you have to look at just yourself. And you go, okay, and then you become consciously competent after you continue to focus on the healing. You say, okay, I am aware, I am doing this, and I'm aware that I'm, and all these different things, how you're expressing, feeling, thinking, behaving, and becoming. And you're not inhabiting all the negative spaces. That can take years, okay? Year and a half, okay, I don't know, but that's still not that far off. There's still some healing that can be done. So then on this journey, then after you really work on it, then you become unconsciously competent, which means you can just go with the flow. You can do life. You can do an emotional battle. You can go zip, mute, not entering the boxing ring, not picking up the megaphone, okay? Are you walking around with a megaphone? Some people are ready to, I'm just gonna, just go. And, and not be in a reactive state of mind, and get into that sort of unconsciously competent, which means no matter what comes your way, the quantum field, no matter what comes your way, And it doesn't matter even what they have, how they ripple off into the existence. They can only keep that going on certain receptive waters. So they can't really keep that going. And so once you learn, then to your part of your self will get better and better at not receiving or registering. You'll just see it and just move freely through it, and not get stuck, not give a thought, not get sort of snagged by any whimper, concern, sweat attack, paranoia spell, feeling less than, all those other negative, saddled states. It's just like, how many more bags of negative do you want to carry? That you are not enough. Like, that is just like, do not consume that lifestyle. I know a lot of people who have been in that, and they have a lot of emotional baggage, like things that they have brought with them from the event forward. It's like, to what degree are you still carrying this? And especially in the digital age, man, I mean, you can let go of a lot of stuff. You don't need to get a basement, a storage, an attic, a fifth wing, a fifth wheel, a fifth house. I mean, how much more, do you, of a wall or a bridge is your life becoming? And so then, and then look through, and sort of, it was so, and then what to find intriguing for you, I can't believe we've gone over an hour, is to see and look at the measure of your healing, and to what degree you can attend to that, and look forward to feeling sort of that emblazonment of truth without it even registering that you need to dispel any evil. This is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today, and I hope that these videos do help. Please share, please subscribe, and for goodness sake, please donate for more great tools, videos, discussions, and support. Peace out. Have a beautiful day.